Coming up on Fulton Today, county and city leaders tackle the opioid issue with a meeting of the minds. We'll have a full report. Also, Fulton's chief appraiser explains the process of assessing your property. And later, Atlanta's most famous boxing champ is in the Fulton County Jail. We'll explain. That and more starts right now on Fulton Today. Welcome to Fulton Today, everybody. I'm Shania Chavis-Rucker. The Fulton County Heroin Task Force hosts city and county leaders in an effort to continue the fight against heroin and opioids. FGTV's Brian Robinson joins us now with more on this story.
Shania, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners passed a resolution some time ago recognizing the county's heroin crisis and even funded almost $50,000 for the distribution of Narcan to first responders. However, everyone in this task force agrees that something more needs to be done.
The program where they're passing out the Narcan to civilians is effective in a way.
It was an Atlanta police officer who works one of the most dangerous drug areas in the city that says the efforts of this heroin task force are already working. He and his colleague have collectively revived 5 people from overdosing on heroin thanks to the Narcan provided primarily by this group's hard work.
Every life that we save matters and counts, and so we're tremendously grateful. We just want to honor you today for the work that you're doing.
The task force is made up of the Fulton County District Attorney, Fulton Commissioners, law enforcement, justice, health, and community partners. They are charged with finding solutions to deal with the heroin and opioid epidemic in Fulton County.
We saw that we've had an increase of 900% since 2010, and so this meeting is designed to try to do something about it.
The group discussed potentially putting together a comprehensive plan similar to what officials in Columbus, Ohio did to address their problem.
I think the number one thing that an addict struggles with is knowing that he or she is worth it. So if we have the knowledge that our community is out there fighting for us, trust me, it'll do a lot. It'll do a lot.
Part of the challenge is funding. However, Fulton leaders say they must find the funding to keep county kids alive.
It's really affecting our kids, and we're trying to put together comprehensive plans. We've done a lot in the last couple of years. We've got some good results, but we still have work to do, and so we're trying to set ourselves up to be ready when the state and the federal government develops their funding streams so that we can use some of those funds to really put things in action to help solve this problem.
The next thing for us is really to kind of inventory what it is we are doing, take a specific look at kind of what we had laid out in terms of kind of the change within our behavioral health model, from getting not only sort of the basic services we began to, that we began out with our new contract model, but also to layer upon additional enhanced addiction treatment.
The Fulton County Heroin Working Group is now Isaiah's Working Group, named after the little boy who was hit and killed by a motorist high on heroin. Fulton's District Attorney's Office used parts of federal forfeiture asset funds to purchase the first set of protective equipment bags known as Isaiah's bags for law enforcement officers when dealing with individuals suspected of overdosing. The bags include gloves, masks, eye protection, and shoe covers.
We don't have the resources to do it in the DA's office. We're hoping that either through county government or through some private entities, we can get people to donate this money for law enforcement officers, because we certainly don't want them not to intervene in a situation that involves a drug overdose. But when they intervene, we don't want them to die as a result of that intervention.
The DA also adds that in addition to working on that comprehensive plan to combat Fulton's heroin crisis, there's also an effort underway to extend drug court to state and juvenile court. Reporting for FGTV, I'm Brian Robinson.
Thank you very much, Brian. Now, the Fulton County Youth Commission is tackling the opioid crisis. We will have more on that later in the show. Meanwhile, it is time to continue our special series called Understanding Your Property Assessments. Joining us now is Fulton's Chief Appraiser, Dwight Robinson. Sir, welcome back to Fulton Today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's first explain to everybody about assessments and why one must be made on their property.
Well, the property tax is the most predictable and consistent source of funding for our local government priorities. And we have that so that we can have this source of funds coming in so that the government can fund priorities established by themselves and by the citizens.
And Dwight, do you assess property every year?
Normally we try to. It's all based on what's happening in the marketplace. If the market is flat, then there's no need to assess every year. But in a rising market, it's always best to do that.
And what all is involved in assessing my property?
Well, the biggest thing is what our property is selling for. We also will look at replacement cost schedules, land acquisition costs, and for commercial properties, we take a close look at the income they generate.
And can you explain to folks how the fair market is calculated?
Fair market value is based on sales of similar properties. That is the essence of fair market value. What could you reasonably expect your property to sell for based on similar properties that have already sold?
And here's an important question. How can someone appeal their value if they don't agree with their current assessment?
Well, your notice will give a clear indication of where to send your appeal to. You can appeal by just writing us a letter indicating that you want to appeal. This can be a free form letter, or the appeal can come on standardized forms, or you may appeal online.
Well, Dwight Robinson, kudos to you and your team for trying to keep the public informed. Thank you so much for your time.
Again, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Now, just a reminder, if you are applying for a homestead exemption, you have until Monday, April 2nd to do so. Meanwhile, Fulton's House delegation at the Capitol is also hosting a discussion about the tax assessment process. First on the group's agenda was the discussion about a local bill to create a homestead exemption for seniors for Fulton County government ad valorem tax. Fulton commissioners and top staff were there to address any concerns or questions.
When you're living on a fixed income and living in a paid-for house in some cases, and yet each year you got to pay a percent or 1.5% rent back to your various governments for that, that's tough. So what we're trying to do is to provide that residential dividend for our seniors. We're going to work with the county and see if we can't start it this year on a $30,000 exemption with no income limitations, help folks stay in their home.
In addition to the homestead exemption bill, the delegation also discussed the election of the chairman of Fulton County's Elections Board. Fulton leaders have met with both the House and Senate delegations a few times this session. Now, your input is needed to improve one of the county's wastewater facilities. The Department of Public Works is looking to upgrade and expand the Big Creek Water Reclamation Facility in North Fulton. There will be a public meeting on Thursday, March 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Chattahoochee Nature Center to discuss the plans. And during that time, Public Works officials encourage residents to offer their feedback. The project will upgrade and expand the facility 24 to nearly 40 million gallons per day to meet the projected wastewater treatment demands from future growth and also to eliminate odors from the facility.
Whenever you get within 10% of the total capacity, it's time to start talking about expansion. So the state EPD office has approved our permit request to expand to 36 million gallons a day, which we think should last us a good 40 years into the future based on the growth of the North Fulton area, mainly in residential, but also commercial and industrial users as well.
The Big Creek Water Reclamation Facility serves parts of North Fulton as well as areas of Cobb and DeKalb counties. It has undergone several upgrades and expansions since it was first built in 1969. The Fulton County Sheriff's Office is looking to fill some vacancies. Its annual job fair is taking place Wednesday, March 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Assembly Hall right here in the Government Center. The office hopes to fill the positions of Deputy Sheriff, Detention Office, Security Specialist, Criminal Information Systems, Technicians, and other civilian assignments.
So being that we have the highest salary, that's always a good selling point for us. Not only with that, there is advancement once you come into the agency. If you come in, put in the work, you have the opportunity to move up.
All positions require applicants to pass a background check, a drug test, and a polygraph. Fulton employees start their day with a cup of joe and a greeting from their bosses. County Manager Dick Anderson and Chairman Rob Pitts welcomed county staff as they made their way to the Government Center. The Human Resources Director joined the morning welcome committee, complete with coffee and pastries.
It's just a good opportunity to greet employees on their way in, and Chairman Pitts wanted to do it, I wanted to do it, and we gave away some coffee and pastries.
That's right. So you've taken our show on the road. It's just a great opportunity to say thank you to the employees for the job that they do. They do the work, we get the credit, so this is another way of saying to them we appreciate what you're doing for the million-plus people that we serve.
Fulton is kicking off a new employee campaign that focuses on performance and pay. The initiative is designed to boost employee morale and a better customer experience for the citizens.
It's good for customer service because you get a chance to show that at least that they're listening and want to get engaged with the people, want to talk to them and see what their thoughts is and see who their constituents are.
I think it really builds us up. The coffee, the camaraderie, we get to see the different individuals in the different departments, and it makes you feel at home.
Fulton County government is one of the largest county government employers in the state. And still to come on Fulton Today, details on why one commissioner is spending some time at the federal courthouse. Stay with us. One Fulton commissioner announces that he is convening a citizens task force on Fulton Homestead Exemptions, and another speaks one-on-one with the U.S. Attorney. Here's this week's district by district coverage. We began with Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts, who is composing a diverse group of property owners throughout the county to serve on his newly created Citizens Task Force on Fulton Homestead Exemptions. The at-large commissioner has already been meeting with residents along with the county manager, the chief appraiser, and other county leaders to help citizens best understand the assessment process. He met with seniors at the Quality Living Services Senior Center.
The people were very enthusiastic, asked some very pointed, relevant questions, and we were able to give them information, I believe, that will be invaluable to them as they, anticipate and get ready to pay their tax bill.
It was very helpful to me, and I think to most of the people who were in there. There were some very good questions that were asked, and learned a lot from those questions as they were answered. So it was very good.
As county staff continue with their county-wide campaign to keep residents informed about the process, deadlines, and exemptions, the chairman says his task force is designed to bring a citizen's perspective to the homestead exemption process and will be able to help devise and develop recommendations, which then can be considered by county leaders as well as members of the Georgia General Assembly. Meanwhile, Vice Chairman Bob Ellis is taking his message about the opioid crisis all the way to the federal courthouse. The District 2 Commissioner met with the U.S. Attorney P.J. Pack from the Northern District of Georgia. Included in their discussion was a conversation about the county lawsuit against opioid distributors and the action taken by national leaders.
U.S. Attorney B.J. Pack, I've had a chance to meet with him, and I'm very impressed with how aggressively he is targeting the bad actors in that space. He's had some recent actions in which he's come forth with some prosecutorial action, and I expect that we're going to see a lot more from him. So I'm encouraged by what's going on there. I'm encouraged by the national dialogue that's taking place in terms of getting funding in for more robust screening at the post office level to prevent some of these drugs from flowing in, as well as some other measures that are taking place there.
The vice chairman is continuing with the county's opioid campaign to educate the public on the challenges and the solutions. As we mentioned last week, he recently took to the radio airwaves about the epidemic. In District 5, mark your calendars. The series of 2018 District Dialogues Community Town Hall meetings will be starting soon. Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr. will kick off the first one at the Bowden Senior Center on Tuesday, April 10th.
We will be talking about our tax assessments and the exemptions that are available. We'll be talking about the upcoming elections and making sure that we try to get people registered to vote and make sure that people update their voter registrations.
A number of the 2017 District Dialogue Town Hall meetings focused on the tax assessment process and concerns raised by residents. And finally, District 6 Commissioner Emma I. Darnell applauds the county's youth commissioners for their advocacy on behalf of their peers. The youth commissioners partnered with school counselors for an important conversation about the opioid crisis and other major issues facing high schoolers. Commissioner Darnell joined part of the discussion.
We are extremely pleased that the Office of Children and Youth and the Youth Commission in particular has given us an opportunity to bring together professional social workers who work with our children every day, and very, very challenging situations bring us together today to recommit ourselves to ensure that all of our children live in freedom with dignity and die on time and not before time. So we say thank you so very, very much to the Office of Children and Youth, and especially to these dedicated professionals who work with our children every day.
Fulton's youth commissioners are high school students from all across the county and are selected each year. The group identifies issues impacting their peers and advocates on their behalf before the Board of Commissioners and state lawmakers. We'll have more on the youth commissioners and school counselors partnership later in the show. And when we come back, the county's health professionals provide HIV testing for seniors. We'll explain. Fulton Senior Services team partners with a counseling office to offer free HIV testing for seniors. One by one, members of the Helene S. Mills Senior Multi-Purpose Facility stopped by this table to get a quick prick of the finger. They were getting tested for HIV and AIDS, and they didn't have to wait long for their results.
As older Americans, and especially as blacks, we never went to the doctor. We relied on home remedies, and so now we're finding out that a lot of seniors have had HIV and have had it for years, undiagnosed.
According to the CDC, an estimated 45% of Americans living with diagnosed HIV were age 50 and older. 27% were age 55 and older, and 6% were aged 65 and older. The county is working to get as many people as possible tested. The residents can get tested at county health centers. Fulton Health Professionals finds it beneficial to also partner with other organizations to help increase their reach. More now on how young people are using their voices to try to save the lives of their peers. As we mentioned earlier in the show, Fulton County's youth commissioners invited some 50 school counselors to talk about a host of serious issues. FGTV's Priscilla Ortega has the story.
E-cigarettes, which are also known as Juuls, ecstasy, prescription drugs like Adderall and Xanax, and then meth.
As street and prescription drugs continue to plague their peers, Fulton's youth commissioners took advantage of the opportunity to present their Not Even Once initiative. The youth commissioners gave the presentation to social workers and counselors from Fulton County schools gathered inside the South Fulton Service Center. Better known as NEO, the initiative usually involves the youth commissioners explaining the dangers of drugs to their peers through props, such as goggles that simulate the experience of being under the influence.
We believe that the peer-to-peer form of communication is the best way to get a message across. And our young people, will receive the information better from other young people. So we understand that, and as a result, we keep our youth commissioners on the front line in helping us deliver our message into the schools.
During their presentation, the professionals were informed that a youth commissioner's study revealed 24.9% of students indicated drugs was the top issue in their school. Another 19.2% said mental health was another key issue teens face. Sadly, the issues don't stop there.
We talked actually a lot about juuling and vaping, which aren't technically considered to be traditional drugs, but are definitely taking over the youth by storm. So juuling, which can deliver up to 100 times nicotine in hits than normal cigarettes. Juuling especially is popular with the youth because it's so sleekly designed and easy to conceal in high schools. We also talked about marijuana, which is always a problem in high schools, and among others, meth, heroin.
The meeting served as a professional development class for the social workers and counselors. It gave them the chance to learn how their colleagues deal with these and other issues.
It's really important. The hard work that we do is very much behind the scenes. It's not something that gets a lot of publicity. It's kind of like when you prevent things or get new tires or something like that, and no one sees the beauty of it. But it's a really good work.
The Not Even Once Drug Prevention Tour will continue throughout the rest of the school year. It's expected to visit as many schools as possible before that final bell rings for summer vacation. Reporting for FGTV, I'm Priscilla Ortega.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. Meanwhile, Fulton employees also pledged to save lives this year by taking part in the 2018 blood donation drives. Dozens of county staffers filled the government center atrium for the first blood drive of the year.
Well, it's just something that we all have to do. You never know when, one, you're going to need it, and two, that's what we're here to do, to serve.
Each quarter, Fulton partners with the American Red Cross to serve as a donation collection site.
You have patients who are in the hospital, who's gone through car accidents, who's had minor surgery, elective surgeries, heart patients, cancer patients that use different components of the blood. If one person give a pint of blood, it could be separated into 3 different components that can be distributed at the hospital.
I needed blood one time after an operation, and I was able to get it, and I'm so glad that people have volunteered to give theirs, so I was able to get mine when I needed it.
Blood and platelet donors must be in good general health and feeling well. They must also be at least 17 years old and weigh 110 pounds. And you can donate anytime by logging on to redcrossblood.org/donate. And up next on Fulton Today, why the boxing champ is in the Fulton County Jail. Stay with us, everybody. Public meetings for the Group 2 library renovations are underway. The Atlanta Fulton Public Library System is inviting residents to offer their input on renovation plans for the OC, Buckhead, Northside, Northeast, Squirrel Oaks, and the Mechanicsville branches. The county's building team, the design builder, the construction company, and architects and library staff are all attending the meetings to hear how citizens hope to have their libraries improved.
It's hard for a group of architects to come in and see all of the problems.
Yeah.
But if they pick them up from the people who use the library on a regular basis, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I think that's so important. People that use it know the ins and outs of the library and see the daily usage, and I'm sure they're the best resource for that information instead of someone coming in and saying what we need.
The library renovation project is part of the library building program that includes the renovation of 23 library branches, the AFPLS Atlanta headquarters, and Central Library. Renovations of the Group 2 libraries are expected to get underway this year. Now, the entire renovation project is expected to take place through late 2020. And finally, a beloved Atlanta champ punches in at the Fulton County Jail.
What's wrong? I say, he hit me back. He said, welcome to boxing.
Evander Real Deal Holyfield made his way to the Rice Street facility to speak to a group of young inmates. The purpose of his visit was to inspire the inmates to be better people and to let them know life is not about giving up. The former heavyweight boxing champ told stories of his early days in the ring and the influences in his life that made him the man he is today.
These people, they're in a situation. Life is about not giving up, you know. We all fall short somewhere. I'm telling you, whether you're rich or poor, light or dark, we all fall short. But no one goes anywhere without an opportunity. I'm telling you, if it means they need 10 opportunities, 11, 12, someone had to tell them not to quit. If a person quit, it's over for him.
Evander told his audience he's now a boxing promoter just like Don King used to do. As a thank you for giving his time, the jail staff gave him a certificate of appreciation as well as a gift bag from Sheriff Ted Jackson. The champ is looking good. Well, before we go, our reminder that we'd like to connect with you online. Be sure to follow FGTV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for up-to-date Fulton County news. And you can watch a replay of the show and other FGTV programs anytime on our YouTube channel. Well, that does it for this edition of Fulton Today. I'm Shania Chavis-Rucker. Thank you so much for watching. Join us each week for news around and about Fulton County.